guys, I cannot even explain to you or express to you why I have not started recording with Anchor millions of years ago. You guys, I'm telling you right now, Anchor is the easiest thing that I have ever used as far as recording anything. I used to be somebody to record YouTube videos and spend hours and hours and hours on my computer and laptop, feeling so self-conscious and feeling really irritable and agitated just because I couldn't get anything out or express anything. But I'm telling you right now, all I'm doing is holding my phone and talking to you like I would anybody else, and I feel so comfortable and so confident to be able to post content, and I think that you guys should be able to too. Do not let other people tell you you can't do something, because you can manifest anything with Anchor.
Together, we will get through the matrix.
What is the matrix?
Well, as we're getting into this, I want to welcome you to the Matrix. And for those who are currently listening, this is Zain. Zain, introduce yourself and kind of give us a little feedback of what really made you interested in wanting to be a part of this.
Well, my name's Zain. I don't know, I saw Through the Matrix, and to me, you know, as far as religion or just seeing from other people's point of views, and, you know, just having like just having this desire to see the world from not only understand it from my perspective, but to understand it from other people's perspectives has always been something that's very important to me. It's been something that I've driven to do for a long time, as far as listening to like philosophers and, you know, their philosophies on life and how I can apply that to myself. Or, you know, I always like to try to guide people as well, but that's more or less just me regurgitating the stuff that I'm learning. So I mean, for me, what I will say is, as I go on deeper and deeper into this whole matrix that we're experiencing, the more that I realize that I don't know anything at all, which is fine. It's kind of, you know, as you go on in life, you realize the paradoxes that are going on. So I like the idea of the podcast. I'm glad that you had me on here. Pleasure to be here. Appreciate you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest thing for me with even having you on, and for those who are currently listening, me and Zain have no real common knowledge of each other. You know, this is going to be a very interesting phase of the podcast, just because Zain is not going to be just the only co-host on here. I'll be having multiple co-hosts coming on here in and out, and in a rotating way, to where I can get as much content out and a lot of different voices through. And, you know, there might be some days to where I may not even be on Through the Matrix, and I may even have one of you guys be, you know, the host for a week. And, you know, that's just something that I feel like my voice is important, but I also want to create a platform for other voices to be heard. And I think that anybody that is willing to come on here and and share their voice and share their story. It's going to be really exciting for this chapter. So I want to thank Zain for being here and presenting himself in the most truest and authentic form that he can. So
yeah, I'm super excited to see how this all develops and see the other people that we get on here. It's really well put together. You're doing a really good job, and glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. We were talking the other day, kind of whenever I was getting an idea of you, kind of interviewing you a little bit, and hearing your story and learning like how you've kind of come to terms with where you're at and how you've manifested where you are right now. Would you like to share a little bit of your background and give us some insight on
Yeah.
where you're at right now?
Yeah. Right now I'm staying in a sober living house. I've been I'm on 3 months sober. Before, whenever I said I was sober, I really wasn't. I'd just be kind of like it was always one or the other. It was either like the hard drugs or I was drinking to deal with the fact that I didn't have drugs. And it was a very, very crazy roller coaster ride that I started at a very early age. For me, I grew up in a household that really as far as having beliefs went, God was however you perceived him. My mom wasn't very, or my father, they weren't very good on the whole being a parent rather than a friend. I started pretty much shooting up with my mom at a very early age, and that's what kind of got me into this whole swing of things. And so for me, whenever it came down to what life was, it was just a very dark place, and it wasn't in that until I got into that darkness that I start seeing the light. And I've noticed that with a lot of the people I've grown with in my life, is that it's so weird how that works, but you travel so far in the dark that you start to see the light. And that's what happened for me. And I hit this rock bottom, and I got tired of looking at myself and looking into my eyes and not seeing really anything there. I didn't see what made me me, the things that I identified with as far as my spirit and my heart went. I heard something that, heaven is in the heart of man, and that spoke wonders to me. Because, as you go on in life, the term sin originates from from the Torah, and that's a Greek word. It's called kabosh, and to sin means to be off the mark. And so potentially whenever you're sinning, you're going away from yourself. You're drifting away from that inherent goodness that we have within ourselves. And there's a lot of things that people do in their lives, man, that I've done in my life that just makes me cringe. And I can hide my expression about it all day. Laugh now, cry later. But the whole deal of the matter is you can't suppress the feeling that you have within your chest. And I feel like that's really what makes me a human being, is those moments, that, those hurt, the hurt, the happiness, all of them, I wouldn't be me without the hard times. And, eventually that led to a lot of good times too.
I think it's important to recognize that we're here to feel. We're here to, feel and, learn how to unsuppress. I feel like from the time that you're a child to the time that you're an adult, all we've been taught is how to suppress. We've only been taught to, speak when we're spoken to, do what the higher up says, or do what your parents say, or and we get to this point of kind of just keeping all of our sanity within, and I feel like it's important to, like, when you reach, you know, including when you're going through your teens, that, you know, some people may feel like they can't express their true self, whether that be their sexual orientation or religious beliefs, because we're surrounded by so many people in different cultures and different, you know, belief systems, that, you know, some people might look at me and be like, oh my god, like, he's horrible for what he believes in, or oh my god, I wish I could be just like him, or, you know, screw that guy because he looks kind of odd compared to like what I look like. It's just like all these different factors play into play of perspective, and like it's really interesting to know like how people view me, because I know how I view myself, I know how I respect myself, but how other people view me and respect me are completely, entirely different. And I think that a lot of people are, you know, getting to this point of awakening and realizing like who they are. And I think that it's beautiful that like even in 2021, like I'm noticing that there's more people who are coming out with their sexual orientation at a younger age, whether their gender expression is, you know, how they feel on the inside, or how they express it outwardly, or how their religious views or spiritual views are for them. And I think that it's wonderful that people are speaking up about their culture and their, you know, beliefs and who they are inside. So, you know, I love all this perspective. I love that you've gone through what you've gone through, I've gone through what I've gone through, and, you know, all these people are experiencing different things. And I think that as we continue to talk about it and awaken that part of us, that we'll all start making sense, and, you know, other people will piece it together, that we're all just going through it, you know, we're all just here, you know.
Yeah. Talking about suppressing, I've noticed, man, from my experiences, suppressing is how, you know, some really just messed up stuff ends up happening in someone's head. Like, that's whenever, you know, some serious perversions or monsters are made, whenever they can't express, you know, and society demonizes it, and they're like, oh well, they're making me out to be so bad, you know. These things that, you know, everyone has thoughts, you know, like everyone has, it's just normal. Like, you know, my brother, he pretty much, he was, you know, he's really young. He's about 11 or 12, and he was talking to me the other day about, you know, because he doesn't have his dad around, and I've always made sure, like the other day, for instance, he was like, Zane, I wish you could be my dad. And I was like, listen, man, I tell you what, I am 10 times better than your dad because I'm your big brother. So you can come to me for anything. And so pretty much he was talking to me about how he was taking an interest into his friends, you know, like his guy friends. And he was talking to me about it. And I was, well, like, Judah, my dude, man, you need to talk about it. You need to find someone that you feel safe enough to talk about it. And if I'm not the guy to talk about it with, you need to find somebody, because if you don't, it's gonna keep developing within you, and you're not gonna know anything about it if you don't discuss it, if you don't have a conversation and bring it to the light, so that way you can actually see it for what it is, and see if it's, you know, just maybe curiosity, which is normal, you know, or something else. Like, if this is something that is a part of you, like, you don't know unless you bring it to the light, and, you know, have somebody around you, or a community, or a group, or simply like a podcast to, you know, like turn to, you know, listen to people discuss these things and bring them to light.
Right. I think that, including in, you know, his situation too, I feel like it's important for there to be some kind of role model. I mean, I grew up and I was in regular public school to where everything was very subject to male and female, heterosexual sex. And me being a gay male, that was very confusing for me because I'm like, I don't have any interest in learning any of this. But then I'm like, okay, so what do I do? Like, we obviously can't do it the same way other people can, so, and then that leads me into a situation to where it's like, never experienced or even thought about it, like, even like pornography, like, you're growing up in a household full of heterosexual, parents, if your dad has porn or something to that extent, like, the only thing there is straight porn. So I'm like, oh my god, like, even at a young age, going into your teens, like, people discover things. You're at a friend's house, you have somebody express something. I mean, I feel like everybody's talked about sex through their teens and as you develop, and I think that, like, most people are what they see, and for me, I didn't want to see any of it. I didn't want to like, it was very awkward for me too, because, like, I'd go and hang out at guys' houses, and I'd be like, oh, I'm like one of the dudes, but then, like, I also, like, had these, like, moments where I'd be like one of the girls. I'd be hanging out with the girls, and, like, the guys thought it was really weird or really gay that, like, I hung out with the girls, and some of the guys were like, man, like, Kyle gets all the girls. and then you get the girls who are like, oh, he's obviously very, very gay, and this is why we keep him around, and our parents obviously think that he's either our boyfriend or our very flamboyant friend. So it's weird how people had looked at me and then how I looked at myself, because I didn't know, like, what I was for the longest time, including all I knew is, like, I liked girls, I liked to hang out with girls, and then, like, even, like, as a 24-year-old male who's done drag, I didn't realize back then, like, oh, I want to, like, wear dresses too, or, like, wear eyeliner too. Like, I didn't know where I was at, I didn't even think like that. Like, I was just thinking, man, like, I just want to be like everybody else, whether that be male presenting or female presenting. So, like, that put me into a lot of, like, insomnia, or not insomnia, that's not the right word for it, like, gender dysphoria, there we go.
Yeah.
And so, like, viewing his perspective on how, like, who do I even talk to about this, it's like I'm completely understanding of, like, what he's gone through and been through, because I'll tell you that there's nobody to teach you as best as you can, and it's weird being like, okay, I'm gonna have to, like, either look up videos or, like, I'll tell you, the biggest thing that's fake on both spectrums of anything is pornography. Like, pornography is the fakest form of education about sex ever. I mean, there's like, even in pornography, you don't see a lot of condom usage, you don't see a lot of they skip the important, like, aspects of it, and that's where it's unsafe. Like, a lot of people just think, oh, and this goes for either side or whoever's listening, like, you don't want to just go all right for it. You got to make sure that you're protected, your partner's protective, you have open communication on what you're doing and who you're doing it with and who you've been with, and your sexual health. Like, a lot of people just go into it blind, and then that's where STDs or STIs are developing, and that's where all these other factors of pregnancy and abortion, and all of it blends in together. And for those who don't know where they stand sexually or don't know where they're at, I think it's important to ask questions and to find resources, because it's best for you to keep yourself and others safe in that standpoint.
Yeah. See, yeah, my brother. So my mom, she ended up finding, God. She turned to like Messianic Judaism. So now, like, her belief system has totally changed. She's very, the whole, like, if you're homosexual, that you're gonna go to hell. Which, that for me was a huge, like, what the fuck?
My big thing is like where does it stand for the people in the Bible talking about like if you're a man you must dress like this, or if you're a woman you must dress like this, and he may not lie with another man, and a lot of this is like very confusing because we have people who identify as intersex and don't even have like a specific gender because they have both parts. There's so many people out that they're like that, and there's not a place in the Bible for them. And it's like, now that this is developing and people are realizing that this is more common, I sit here and I wonder if, these people who have both parts, or who identify as intersex or as non-binary, like those people who, you place like 20 of them in a room, like you might figure out that there are other, sexual, or not sex, but like, yes, there's gender identity, which is in the head, but I feel like, there are more than two sex characteristics. It's not just, you have male parts and you have lady parts. You have a mixture of these parts, and it's like, where is there a placement for these people? Where is it safe for these people? And they didn't choose that. That's just how they were born. Like, that's just so appalling to me that all these people say that they're accepting and you should be who you are and you should be whoever God made you, and it's like they're just being their most authentic selves and they're discriminating against that, which is I just find that really disgusting.
It's definitely like people shouldn't suppress themselves, and I was gonna go along with that with something from the Bible that I'm gonna paraphrase it because I'm not good at the whole verbatim thing, but pretty much what they were saying was so once you become like a child of God, as they say, then you're practically genderless. That's what it said in the Bible, that once you like connect with your soul when you become a child of God, that you are neither man or woman. Actually, how they put it is a woman would be a man at the same time as being a woman, because it's just genderless. Pretty much what they were saying.
Now, wouldn't the human soul be genderless?
Yes. It would.
I mean, you're just like a floating ball of energy, so I mean, like, technically, like, everybody's kind of forgetting like that aspect of it, including with like reincarnation and stuff like that. It's just like you could be a different animal, a different species. Like, I am so big into past life like regression and figuring out like where I was, and energy, and for those who are listening and don't really understand like the scientific aspect of it, a lot of it can be like prescribed as woo-woo or taken as woo-woo, and my thing is, it's just like, it's not just woo-woo. There's like actual scientific like evidence of like everybody being their own vibration. Everybody's molecules are constantly moving. It's just like energy's created but not destroyed. So like,
exactly,
when you die and your physical body's still there and it's rotting away, it's like, where does your soul go? It can't be destroyed. It's still there, like physically. Like, it's like an electrical wave that you can or cannot see. Like, that's why like whenever I tell people I'm a medium and I see things, it's like my consciousness, my like awareness is on a different level of vibration, which is why I can see spirits, which is why I can see past my regular 3D. People may not be able to comprehend that because they're not on that level yet. And I think that's important for everybody to listen, that you have the capability of seeing past what's already in front of you. Like, you close your eyes and you're still able to see something, whether that be light fragments or I don't know if you remember laying in bed when you were a little kid and closing your eyes and being able to see like cartoons in your head in the dark and the black. Like, you can make pictures or take your thoughts. Like, that's imagination. Like, when you're actually physically seeing it when you close your eyes, like, if you're so deep and mesmerized in your own thoughts, like, have you ever just been sitting there at the kitchen sink washing your dishes and thinking about something so vividly you can feel it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, people don't realize like how deep their mind actually goes, which is like, whenever I talk about being being able to feel people's energy, like, I'm really truly connecting with them on a vibrational level. Like, I get to your vibration, I feel what you're feeling, I see what you saw, and once you're able to tap into your deepest, truest part of yourself, like, that activates. It's like, you can do that too. Anybody can do that. It's all about using your thoughts. Really,
Yeah,
just follow your gut.
it's scary. It's scary getting into that. I used to be really, really like just as far as like being able to feel like other people's energies and all that. Like, for me, it was overwhelming, man. It caused me like a lot of anxiety whenever I was younger, and so I ended up just kind of shutting it out. Like, I just was like, no, no, this is too much. And then, now that I'm older, like, and it's not so much, I kind of wish I hadn't have done that. But it's something I don't know. It might come back to me. I don't know. I don't know. But as far as like my experience with anything out of body has been with my rituals, just energy work and just.
Hey, are you there? You're cutting in and out a little
Sorry.
bit. Okay. You're saying something about your dreams?
Yeah, dreams. Dreams for me, I mean, they've always been really spot on. And for a while, I used to get really like full of myself. Like, I'd be like, yo, I can't believe I got that right. Cause I would just like, I would tell people before, like after the dream, I'd be like, yo, this is going to happen. And it would end up happening like every time, dude. And so I would get like really full of myself. And then I had to kind of take a step back. Like, all right. This isn't all me. This is just literally me going to sleep, and I'm just being shown stuff. Like, I don't know where this is coming from. I still don't. I thought it was. I think it's God that like shows me these things in my dreams, because the first time it ever happened, I was in jail, and I was sitting, and I don't know. I ended up going to sleep. And in the dream, pretty much, so the first time I ever experienced a dream like this, where it was like showing me something, was whenever I was in jail. And so I was in jail for about 3 months. I was waiting trial, and I'm sitting in jail, and I ended up going to sleep, and in my dream, pretty much what had happened was this figure appeared to me, and he was like, hey man, I don't know if he said hey man, but pretty much he just told me that I was having a child, and that my girlfriend was pregnant. And so I wake up, and I tell my cellies, I'm like, hey y'all, my girlfriend's pregnant. And they're like, well, how do you know that? And I was like, I just know. Don't tell me how I know. I just know, man. And so I used my 30-second phone call to, because I hadn't called her yet. And you get like a 30-second call to all these numbers. So I used my 30-second phone call, or maybe it was a minute. It felt like 30 seconds. And I call her, and I'm like, you don't know this. You don't know. And I didn't plan on it. Promise you I didn't plan on it, but you're pregnant, so don't do anything stupid, okay? Like, if you're drinking, stop it, you know, because you're pregnant. And she was like, what? No, I'm not. Blah, blah, blah. And then it, clicked over like, oh, your minute is up. I'm like, all right, well, just drop that one.
Wow.
And so apparently what she did after I gave her that phone call, she went.
Oh, hey, hold that thought for a second.
All right.
We're gonna take a, probably a minute interlude just so we can get our sponsors in. So, I want to thank Anchor, and here is the clip of me talking about Anchor.
Awesome.
All right, now, as you're saying, your girlfriend was kind of just in disbelief.
Yeah, she was in disbelief. So what she does is she goes to the store with her friend, and they go get a pregnancy test. She takes it at the store. She finds out, boom, she's pregnant. And somehow that turned into me. I planned it. I was trying to make her pregnant. That's really not the case at all. I was like, no, that's not what happened. I just had this dream, and so like stuff like
wow.
I have dreams like that all the time, and sometimes it's really out there, like just straightforward, like that one was, or sometimes it'll be a couple days later, I'm like, oh darn, that's what that stone meant, because one time I was dating this girl and I was like really crazy about her, I just got out of this really toxic relationship. She was kind of like she was rescuing me from this super abusive relationship that I was in, and so I ended up having this dream, and it was like me and this girl, we were walking down this river, and she was skipping over these stones, and I was like, huh. Later on in the dream, it didn't really stand out to me. I was like, all right, we're going across some stones. And then as I woke up and I started to kind of really think about the dream, I was like, oh, darn it. I was like, I'm a stepping stone. That's what she's stepping across the stones, and I'm simply a stepping stone. We're stepping stones in each other's lives. And that's really what it all ended up turning out to be. And it kind of ended up messing with, the biggest thing about those kind of dreams is not letting it bother you too much. Like, okay, you just got a little bit of the, you sometimes knowing isn't good at all, That's why I'm very specific on the questions I ask my tarot cards. That's why I don't even really pick them up too much. Knowing really isn't always the best. So,
right. It's a what? You cut out again, bub.
Oh, it's a blessing and a curse. The dreams and the knowing things before they happen. It's like I'd rather just have them happen.
Sometimes, we talk about astral projection and dreams and lucid dreams and things to that extent. Sometimes I don't know where I'm at. I'm like, is this reality? Is this what reality really is? Or am I just in my head on that plane? And is my existence right now? Is my existence right now in this moment even real? Or am I just somebody in a mental hospital imagining that this is my life? You know what I mean? Where are we at with reality? Are aliens real? Are, where's existence? Am I just a ball?
Oh, yeah, listen to this.
Importance here is the who?
Listen to this mindfuck. Imagine, because there's so many times, man, I swear, I should have died. And what if we never died? Or we do die, and then our mind just takes over, you're not supposed to die yet, and then it just keeps playing. Our mind just goes on for that 7 minutes or whatever that we have, after we die. your brain's still running, and it's just we're playing on that because we died a long time ago, and we're just living reality in our brains. That sucked.
And then I think about like, and this is just popping into my head. I don't know why, but like cartoons, like, are those other realities being like shown? Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously Bugs Bunny exists because we make him exist, but like, where did Bugs Bunny come from? Like, that's just an idea that popped into somebody's head, though. Like, for real? Like, how? That's gotta be a whole other fucking reality. Like, you know how you're so deep, like, people talk about like quantum looping and like how like you feel like you've been in deja vu and it keeps happening and you're starting to see a cycle. Like, I just feel like, how do those thoughts even come, like, in this moment? You know, like, you have to like think about your surroundings and where you're at and who you're with and what color so and so shirt is, and whether or not your breath stinks. Like, how do these thoughts just process? Like, where do these come from? Like, you know what I mean? Like, us existing in this moment right now makes no sense, but we're here.
Yeah, really, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, the fact that we're having this conversation and, it's just, what the hell? It's just a big old mindfuck reality. Like, how did this all come to be?
I mean, I don't have the answer, and I guess that's why we're here.
Yeah, man. I really wish I had the answer. I wish somebody did. Like, I wish somebody did, for sure. But then what would we even do with that?
Dude, I'm gonna tell you this. Somebody came up to me in my place of work. I've never seen this person before. This is my first time meeting him. And he looks at me and he says, "I'm just a figment of your imagination." He just stared at me. And I'm like, what in the fuck? So every time he comes in, I'm like, "Hi, you're not real. You're just a figment of my imagination." And every time I see him, I'm like, and then I start to think about it. I'm like, do they see him too? I'm like, am I just seeing this? Like, even like with weird shit that happens like within the day, I'm like, I feel like my life's a Lifetime movie sometimes. I'm like, how? I mean, like, obviously we're all like the main character of our own lives as we see like our perspectives and things like that. I mean, everybody has their own TV show if you really think about it. Like, I just think that it's just weird that like I'm not like a fucking sitcom though. Like, you know what I mean?
Please, no, not that. Yeah.
Oh.
Whenever I would trip LSD, I'd be feeling like I was in a movie, all the time. And like, I don't know, the cool thing about LSD is you start like, okay, like, all right. And then you like start feeling like, I'm going to let somebody else be the main character for a minute. You just kind of start sitting back, observing, like, all right, cool. Like, I don't know, it just kind of breaks you out of that feeling. I don't know, like, I explored that a lot tripping, was just sitting back and really watching people like trip their balls off, like, oh shit, they really like they're really the narrator to their own story right now. Like,
dude, sometimes you gotta let other people take the wheel.
Oh yeah,
that's
definitely.
what makes it interesting. But I feel like I've experienced like all types of like stories with like different types of people, like the psychopath, the random guy that just makes one statement and like stays in your life forever just by that one statement. Like, you only met him once, you don't even know his name, he was just a random guy at the grocery store. Like, you know, people don't realize like how much actually affects their life in that moment. Like, I could say something to you right now that made you feel something that you've never felt, and that can change your life forever. Like, you know, when somebody, you know, asks me if I'm okay, that brings a signal of joy and, you know, care. And, you know, I think that people forget that we go off our signals. We sometimes react and we don't respond really well.
Yeah,
I think
I truly believe that. I don't know. I've experienced a lot of death this last year, and as far as like having somebody like their presence in my life, even if it wasn't very long. I'm not talking about the people that died, but just from what I've learned from my people passing was the only way that I could ever let them live on truly is those defining moments that me and them shared that ultimately changed my very being, like that shaped the way that I was gonna go throughout my life and even affected my personality, you know, just those fluctuations that they caused in my wavelength, you know?
right. Man, I think that it's awesome that we're on this wavelength right now, man. I appreciate you and, you know, every vibe that you've been giving tonight. I love your attitude and your vibe, and I really hope that other people who are in the Matrix with us are enjoying you too, and I really hope that we can inspire other people just to be who they are and feel what they feel and enjoy the earth that we live on in this moment.
Yeah, for real. Be you guys. Be you. Enjoy it. Feel it. You know, that's whenever somebody told me heaven is in the heart of man, that I was like, whoa. I don't know, that just hits home for me. I don't know if it hits home for anybody else, but just something about, like, you know, like there's something good within all of us, and once you get a hold of that, then you can start spreading it to the world.
Man, I'll tell you, I'm really happy that and, you know, really grateful for everybody who's been listening. I'm really happy that, you know, Zain decided to join us tonight, and wherever you are, wherever you're listening, just know that you're right where you're supposed to be right now in this moment. And Zain, tell everybody where they can find you, you know, whether if you have other accounts that you'd like other people to know about or things to that extent.
You can just find me on Facebook. I have also a podcast starting up. It's The Places of the Soul. That's just a project I'm kind of working with, getting used to this whole podcasting thing. Another thumbs up to Anchor. Let's give it up to Anchor, y'all. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you go, homie. It was really awesome having you on tonight, dude.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be on.